Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for all you fine people on the internet as we are now a week into the season and we're already starting to see some changes and some healthy scratches. So, word is that tonight, Jost is going to be in the lineup for the Buffalo Sabres. Olofsson will not. So, Olofsson apparently a healthy scratch for the Buffalo Sabres. This is kind of a shot over the bow, right? You're early in the season. You've got some guys that maybe the effort's not where you want it to be. The results aren't where you want them to be. So you kind of send a message. There's some message sending going on over the last 24 hours. So that being said, that's what's going on with Buffalo. We'll see how they do tonight, and if they break out of this slump they've been in, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Because again, it's just 2 games. It's early in the season, but if you're Don Granato, you've got to make sure that it doesn't get out of control. You know, that slow start of a couple of games, if it gets to 5, 6, 7 games, like I've said previously, you end up where you're basically trying to play catch up already in a league where it's very difficult to catch up to other teams. Charlie Lindgren will not be available on this 2 game road trip for the Washington Capitals, so I would think Kemper probably plays both games. We'll see if it goes any further than that, but right now, we just know Lindgren won't be available on the 2 game road trip. The Capitals, of course, came back from 2 goals down last night. They get the victory over the Calgary Flames. We'll see if that puts them in a better position. Definitely, Kemper's celebration after was awesome. I mentioned that last night. And so I hope to see that again, but we'll see what happens. Sam Bennett has been placed on IR by the Florida Panthers, a lower body injury for Bennett. And when teams put players on IR, they have to be on for a week. You can do it retroactive. It feels like everything right now is this dance with the salary cap and trying to get emergency recalls and things of that nature where you can get a guy called up and you've got cap problems and it's just kind of a mess. So when guys are put on or not put on IR, it can be a sign that they're trying to do these gymnastics around the salary cap. Scott Harrington has signed in the Swiss League. He had a tryout, of course, during the preseason with the Anaheim Ducks. Did not make it. They released him. So now he'll play the rest of this season in the Swiss League. As I mentioned previously, they treat their players pretty well. So all the best to Harrington and hope he enjoys the experience in Switzerland and just in Europe in general. So getting back to a little bit of a discussion of players that might be in the doghouse. So last night, Timo Meier, John Marino, and Curtis Lazar each got 1 shift in the third period. Timo Meier took 2 penalties in that game, and apparently Lindy Ruff not happy with that, saying that he takes penalties he can't take. And it looks like there's no Howla, there's no Nosek at practice either, and might be best for them anyways because it looks like they're pretty rough drills that the Devils are being put through today. That game against Florida last night, clearly a bit of a wake-up call. This is a team that was expected to be quite good. They're 1-1-1 out of the gate. And while that's not awful, it's not a terrible record or anything, the reality is that it can get out of control quickly, like I said. And if players aren't playing up to what they're supposed to, and for Meier, he's got a very expensive contract, then, you've got to send that message early in the season. Oddly enough, Damon Severson, who was a New Jersey Devil last season, well, he wasn't impressing last night either. He was parked in the entire third period against the Detroit Red Wings in a 4-0 loss. So messages are being sent. Players are getting benched. Players are being scratched. And I have never had a problem with a coach doing this because I'll see, the questions of, well, do you think that's the right idea? Well, yeah. You park a guy to the bench who's making a lot of money. You're letting players know if you don't play well, I'll bench you. I don't care how much money you're making. I don't care what kind of contract you've got. I don't care if you're a veteran. If you don't play well enough, you're not playing. So sending that message out is important, and getting that out early is also important because it kind of lets players know what kind of a season they could end up having if things don't get going. So speaking of injuries and players not necessarily being in lineups that you'd like to see in the lineup, Stamkos will not play tonight for Tampa Bay. It's a lower body injury still for him, and as I mentioned the other night, Tampa Bay looked completely different without Stamkos while they're already missing Vasilevsky, and Matt Vasilevsky, of course, is out for months. So Stamkos, it sounds like it's going to be a day-to-day thing, but yeah, lower body injury for him. Sounded like that plane put the engine on like late, maybe realized, hey, I'm a little low. That kind of, it does happen. I get the feeling like that plane realizes it's kind of low, right? Yep. He gunned the engine a little bit. Anyways, so that being said, I just have to say that because I'm pretty sure that'll get caught by the microphone. Sheldon Keefe coming out of last night. A lot of unrest and not very happy coaches right now. Sheldon Keefe said all of our best players were really, really careless to start the game. He calls out their top guys in a 4-1 loss against Chicago. And even if Chicago, it can be said, oh, they're playing well as a team, and teams need to take them seriously. And I agree, they're a hardworking team. You should beat them if you're Toronto. And the reality is they didn't. And at no point last night did it look like they were going to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's a problem, and it's something that, again, Sheldon Keefe last year, remember early in the season, Sheldon Keefe came out with some pretty strong statements about his players' effort and then apologized not long after. So the question is out there does Sheldon Keefe get asked to apologize? I certainly hope not. If your team does not have the effort, you should be able to go out there and say, hey, our best players weren't our best players tonight. And this is not what you want to see. Now, of course, the other side of that is that people will say, well, if the team wasn't ready, if the team wasn't playing at its best level, then that reflects on Sheldon Keefe because he didn't have them ready as the coach. And I'm not going to say that idea is wrong, because there is some validity to that. But I also don't think it's a bad thing for a coach to come out after a game and say, the guys I was counting on in there just did not show up tonight. And we're going to have to figure this out. Because again, in Toronto, you're as good as your last game. So as much as people were excited after those first two games, last night's game really kind of changes the conversation. And off we go yet again with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Never a boring season when it comes to the Leafs. P.L. Dubois feels tonight's game against the Jets will be special. He also said that he's aware he's probably going to get booed. He thinks it'd be worse if they were just cheering that he was traded, he was gone. Saying that he played 3 years in Winnipeg, so he's looking forward to playing against his former teammates and getting a chance to see Winnipeg, and no hard feelings and everything. But I get the feeling Jets fans will have some hard feelings. And for the players from the Kings who got traded for Dubois, well, the fact that it was 3 guys for 1 guy, you kind of want to go out there and prove, hey, you shouldn't have included me. So keep an eye on Velarde, keep an eye on Kupari, as well as Iafallo. Might be a strong game for them against the Kings as well. So Dubois is going to be the one that gets the headlines, obviously. But for me, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the other ones as well. The 9-game schedule tonight in the NHL nicely spread out. I should be able to give more attention to each game than I usually would on a 9-game night. Brandon Tanev, out 4 to 6 weeks for the Seattle Kraken lower body injury. The style of hockey Tanev plays, and it's like his brother, their injuries are always going to be a risk. Brandon Tanev, of course, is a huge heart and soul guy for the Seattle Kraken, a Seattle team that's gotten off to a really rough start to the year. And tonight they're at home against Colorado. So it does feel like it's just everything piling on. The hockey gods are piling on with Seattle as well. We'll find out tonight what Seattle's going to do and how they're going to get their offense started. It is just odd because last year they were a team that scored the most 5-on-5 goals of anybody in the National Hockey League. And this year they're basically trying to wring a goal out of this lineup. And it is not easy. So I wanted to mention this because I heard it the first game for Detroit, and I was like, that's not going to be their permanent goal song, right? So I love the song Without Me by Eminem. But there's one problem with the song Without Me by Eminem. If you repeat the chorus over and over and over again ad nauseum, it gets really aggravating very, very quickly. I remember I went to see a movie at one point years ago, and they had just like music playing before the movie got started. Well, whoever it was that was playing the music had clearly pirated their version of Without Me by Eminem, because it was just the chorus over and over and over again. So when you'd go on Napster or whatever you were using, and it would be just a knockoff version of the song. For a while there, record companies were putting out knockoff versions of the song, ruined versions of the song. That's what somebody was playing. Well, now that's what it sounds like when Dallas or Detroit scores. However, it's just the part of the chorus is la 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 la, like when Eminem is in la 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 la. Nobody wants to hear that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again when they score a goal. And when Detroit's scoring a lot of goals, you hear it a lot. And so when they got the 7 goals against Tampa, by that 7th goal, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's enough now. That's enough. It's really, really hard for me to listen to. So I thought I'll put it in a news video. I want to find out from Detroit fans whether you agree with me or not. And again, I love the song Without Me. It's a great song. The entire song. Not that little portion that they picked for the goal song. And if you haven't heard it, there's YouTube videos already. I did double check for that goal horn. And it's go check it out. It's not fun. I don't find it fun at all. I think it's just the worst portion you could possibly have picked of that song for the goal song. They're like, hey, can we take the most aggravating part out? Did I just hear them say put the aggravating part on repeat? I think it did. So at any rate, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And I feel bad because Detroit had a really good goal song last year. I love that goal song and it was really fun. And now, oh man, it's like Vancouver. They need to go back to Holiday by Green Day. That's what the goal song is here in Abbotsford. But we still get Simple Minds because who needs a good goal song? All right, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.